All right, so we got to talk about Ohtani. So I got two guys that do betting. I don't bet, so you guys are going to be in charge of. Now you don't want to claim that?
We simply are in the know. We are simply in the know.
Can you let the man speak for himself? Categorize yourself. But yes, we're talking about Ohtani. So MLB has now opened an investigation following the allegations involving the interpreter for Shohei Ohtani. And what Ohtani's representatives claimed was a massive theft. So the allegations against his interpreter center around wire transfers totaling $4.5 million from Ohtani's accounts to an illegal bookmaking operation in California. So, question is, thoughts on the situation, and is this a Pete Rose-like situation that MLB has on their hands, Frank?
So Frank, before you go, just to follow up, Shohei, he actually had his press conference a little bit before we got on the show. Obviously had a different interpreter, basically came out and said that it was theft. He's never bet on sports, never bet on baseball. He didn't field any questions. And we kind of know both sides of the story. It was initially that, Ippei Muzahara initially said he, meaning Shohei, was present, knew about the wire transfer and what it was for, then later recanted that. Ohtani's people then obviously also then denied it even though initially saying they knew about it, then they denied it, saying it was quote unquote the massive theft. So just wanted to clear that up because he made a further statement today, he himself, meaning Shohei. So the floor is yours, Frank.
Yeah, so it's obviously a really surprising story. Feels like there's more than they're saying. We got to just let the investigation play out. If I have to make a prediction and a read on the situation, I would say, he probably won't face any discipline at least this year. And it sounds strange that this interpreter would be able to just get 4.5 million and then bet on it. So I don't know. We got to wait and see. But if I'm thinking in terms of, is Shohei Ohtani going to miss time in the 2024 season? I would bet no. But I mean, who knows? It's tough to predict, but that would be my bet on Ohtani betting, no pun intended. But we'll have to see. Hopefully it doesn't get bad for him because obviously he's such a joy to watch. But yeah, it was a pretty crazy story when that dropped.
Yeah, I think no matter some of the other info, I think the main question is, regardless of who did it, whether it was Ippei or Ohtani, was there betting on baseball? I think that's the question it comes down to, because the investigation could come out, okay, bets were placed by Ohtani with an illegal bookmaker, but the question at the end of the day is, was it on baseball? Because two things, the stolen money story, I'd like to believe Ohtani and his people, but I'm not buying it because, listen, JT and I on most days of the week, we're best friends. There is no way in the world he would ever give me his bank account info and vice versa. Let's be honest.
There's no way you get your hands on $4 million from it. Unless we're in cahoots. That's the only way you're getting that kind of money.
I don't even know how would you be able to steal that info to be able to use it without identification.
Well, I would say the one outlier is, I forgot the guy's name, but the guy that worked for the Jags stole like $20 million for betting. But that's the only time I've seen somebody get their hands on money that big that's not theirs.
But JT, he literally had direct access to those accounts, right? As the team, as one of the team representatives. This is a personal bank account or whatever billionaires have. I don't even know if they call them bank accounts. So that's one thing where let's put that stolen money to the side because I'm not quite buying it yet, but I'm open.
Say it out loud. You're saying he's lying about the stolen money part.
I'm open-minded to it. What I'm saying is that part doesn't matter right now. Let's just put that to the side. The illegal bookie part, I don't think matters either, because at the end of the day, the feds, they go after the illegal bookmaker. Not necessarily, they're not looking to put the person who puts $100 or $20 bets with this bookmaker who has obviously a multi-million-dollar bookmaking enterprise. They're not looking to put the bettor in jail, but the bookmaker. So put that to the side too. So JT, it goes back to your question. it doesn't matter if it was stolen or not, because if there was no, in my opinion, if there was no betting on baseball, he's going to get a undisclosed fine, behind doors discipline with the undisclosed fine, and they're going to move on, because he would have done nothing wrong in terms of he didn't bet on baseball. He's allowed to bet on other sports. He's not allowed to bet on baseball. So whether the money was stolen or not, if there was no betting on baseball, then it's up to the feds what they're going to do with the bookmaker, what they want to do with, all of the other info they have. But if no bets were placed on baseball, he's going to get a slap on the wrist, meaning an undisclosed fine.
I'm not saying he did it or he didn't. He did it. But if he didn't bet on baseball, this wouldn't have even made it to the press. Like, the fact that I think that where there's smoke, there's fire. Obviously, there was some bet on baseball. I don't know how many, but there's a reason we're in this situation. And like you said, I do think the stolen money is a big deal, because it speaks to level of access and how close these two are. Like, this interpreter, like, that's a big deal for him. And I want to see what MLB is going to do, because they got to be very careful, because I understand they're in a tough spot. This is a top 3 athlete in the world. Like, as far as like being recognizable, making you money, like, he is worth $1 billion wherever he goes. So you just can't, throw this man away for a year or like a lifetime ban or anything like that. Like, MLB can't afford to lose that money. But also, if he's guilty or complicit in any way, they can't afford to turn a blind eye, because there's a bunch of guys that are trying to get into Cooperstown that watched and did what MLB wanted in the shadows, and they paid for it with steroids. So they're all like, hey, we're avoiding the steroid era. That's a black guy. This is a black guy too. And Pete Rose, we brought him up in the question, but he got something to say about this too. So I want to see what happens. I do think that he knows what's going on. I don't think this guy who's his really good friend in charge of, his interpretation is just, all right, I somehow got my hands on this money he didn't know. Like, Ohtani knows. And if he doesn't know, his people know. So I want to see what happens. I'm not saying he did or did not yet. He did it. But I want to see, my thing is more of, I want to see how MLB handles it, because they got to answer to the public, because Ohtani is not coming out and saying anything that's convincing me that this should be over. So I want to see what happens.
But JT, at the end of the day, the optics do look bad. There's no doubt about it. But
yeah, but
they've got a rule. The optics are bad. I agree.
I get the optics part. I get the optics part. But if you have the receipts to say, like, he did not bet on baseball, there were no baseball bets placed, boom, we could put that out there, and you can go to hell with how you feel about optics. It's over for me if they do that. But the fact that they haven't done it tells me, like,
because they need to pull the records up. When you're betting when you have $4.5 million of debt, there's a lot of games that they've got to sort through to see what he bet on.
Sound like you know a lot about this personally, man. How much are you betting out there in the world? I should give you my bank account information.
But what I'm saying is, if his interpreter, even if it's through the interpreter, is placing all of these bets, they've got to go back through an illegal book. This isn't just, hey, let's pull up the FanDuel app for Shohei Ohtani. That's not how it works with these guys. They got to go
and look at the old handwritten book.
They might have to. Who knows how this bookmaker's keeping his books? That's part of why it's illegal.
That's why they need to hire you for this investigation. You to have this done in 2 days max.
No. Anything else, Frank? You've got the last word on this if you want before we move on.
The last word is that, like I said, I know we're saying it sounds fishy, but it would really suck if, he was suspended like a year or more, or any lengthy suspension.
They can't afford that.
So let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you hope it's not a bigger concern or problem for those two individuals as well, taking into account, their well-being as well.